Hey everybody, it's the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm Aaron Maté sitting in for Jimmy, and we're talking about this revelation from one of the greatest investigative journalists of all time, Seymour Hersh, that the U.S. executed a plan to blow up the Nord Stream 2, and Hersh reveals in detail how it happened. Well, what's interesting about this is that Hersh names a number of principals in the Biden White House who were involved with this. Jake Sullivan, Antony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, and none of them have appeared in public so far to answer questions. So I pointed this out on Twitter. Seymour Hersh's story about the U.S. bombing of the Nord Stream 2 specifically names Biden administration principals Jake Sullivan, Antony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, and William Burns, the director of the CIA. Have any of them been out in public to face questions since the story dropped? Not that I've seen. Also, have any of them put out a statement issuing denials? No, they haven't, which is very telling. Now, the White House, though, through spokespeople, have issued denials. But spokespeople are just told to say what the White House tells them to say. They don't know the underlying information. And by the way, by law, if it's a covert operation, the White House is allowed to lie and deny operations that they actually did carry out. So this is the White House speaking through Reuters, and they say White House says blog post on Nord Stream explosion utterly false. And what they mean by blog post is a reported article by one of the greatest journalists of all time, Seymour Hersh, who published his article on Substack, because the kind of journalism he does, actual journalism, holding the powerful to account, isn't welcome anymore in the places where he used to write, like the New York Times and the New Yorker. So that's Reuters trying to diminish one of the greatest journalists of all time. And Ned Price, who's a spokesperson of the State Department, he is one of the few officials who have commented about the story on the record. And he was questioned at the State Department by journalist Sam Husseini, and this was their exchange.
I'm sure you're aware of the new report from Seymour Hersh, how America took out the Nord Stream pipeline and the White House's denial of any involvement. Given the longstanding U.S. opposition to the pipeline, Secretary Blinken's calling its demise a tremendous opportunity, and Undersecretary of State Nuland's saying that the U.S. officials were pleased with the destruction of the pipeline, especially the Sweden's secretive investigation. Do you think the U.S. government's denial of involvement is credible?
I absolutely do, and I repeat it here. Anything else?
Let me follow up on that, if I might. Have you or anybody else at the State Department been in communication with German, Norwegian ambassadors or other allies or officials on this matter?
On the matter of Nord Stream 2?
On the matter of the latest allegations, which give a fairly, I mean, it's one anonymous source, but it is a fairly detailed, it would not be it would not be typical for us to engage allies and partners on something that is utter and complete nonsense and that should be rejected out of hand by anyone who is looking at it through through an objective lens. Yes, go ahead. One more aspect on this. One of the allegations that Hersh makes is that it was taken off the CIA in order to prevent involvement, oversight as a covert operation. Did you read the piece?
I'm familiar with it.
That wasn't a straight answer. I don't think he read it. I'm familiar with it. I don't think he read it, though.
Yeah, that guy's that's the guy that resigned because Trump was going to come in and clear out a bunch of them.
Yes,
from the CIA.
He was
outraged, and then he came back, and then we got this war kicked off. Right, he came back just in time.
Yes, he went from the CIA to now State Department as a spokesperson.
One of his allegations is that it was taken off the CIA.
Rather than let this propaganda be aired in the briefing room, but
his job is to air propaganda in the briefing room, and he's saying no propaganda in the briefing room because this propaganda in this case happens to be factual from a great journalist.
I like how he cleared his throat before he said objective.
Let me just say, it is a fundamental misunderstanding of oversight in our U.S. Congress. Beyond getting his facts entirely wrong, as he has before in very high-profile ways.
What he means by that is that Seymour Hersh has repeatedly exposed U.S. crimes and lies. He exposed the My Lai massacre in Vietnam, which literally helped end the Vietnam War. This mass killing of Vietnamese civilians that was covered up. Seymour Hersh exposed that, won the Pulitzer for it, and that set off a series of events that helped end the Vietnam War. He exposed the Abu Ghraib torture scandal, which the U.S. initially denied. He exposed that the U.S. was lying about how bin Laden was killed in Pakistan. He's broken story after story after story that have embarrassed the national security state based on sources from inside the national security state.
What was the lie about how he was killed in Pakistan?
Well, we're going to talk more about it, but basically, the U.S. said, the Obama administration said that they tracked down bin Laden via, master sleuthing work from the CIA through a courier who followed bin Laden. What Hersh revealed was that actually the U.S. got a tip from a walk-in. Somebody walked into a U.S. embassy or a U.S. station office in Pakistan and told the U.S. that actually Pakistani military knows where bin Laden is, and actually he's been held under protection basically by Pakistani intelligence. And Hersh revealed that, and he was subsequently vindicated with a key detail, which we're going to get to. But they constantly accuse him of getting facts wrong without ever showing their case, because they can't, because he's got a track record of being right.
It is a fundamental misunderstanding to suggest that our intelligence community is not subject to oversight.
That's why we're going to have another hearing for the intelligence community, because of all the oversight.
What's funny about that is that one of the things that Seymour Hersh reported has to do with the dirty war on Syria. And he reported back in the London Review of Books in 2014 that the way the U.S. was able to wage one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, covert programs in CIA history in Syria, tens of billions of dollars going to sectarian death squads to try to overthrow the government. The way that the U.S. could do that and avoid congressional oversight is that they enlisted the British MI6 as basically like a junior partner. And so because this was officially outsourced to the British on paper, that allowed the U.S. to evade congressional oversight.
That's how everything gets done. You outsource it.
Yep.
Hey, I need some gain of function. Well, outsource it. I need somebody to torch. Hey, outsource it.
Exactly. And so that's a key thing that Hersh reported.
And then I'm being honest, we didn't do it. We paid a guy to pay a guy to do it.
Anyone who writes anything like that, should not be.
And another example of the U.S. Intelligence community being subjected to oversight was back when the Senate was investigating CIA torture. The CIA spied on the Senate under John Brennan. They hacked into the Senate's computers. So that's what happens when there's oversight of the intelligence community. The intelligence community spies on the people doing the oversight.
They have 6 ways to Sunday to screw you over.
Exactly.
But what he wrote, he wrote that it was taken off of the CIA and put under military in order to prevent.
Our military is also subject to rigorous oversight.
That's my question. That's my question.
The answer is yes.
Do you recognize and abide by the war powers clause in such a situation?
So that's Sam Husseini questioning Ned Price at the State Department. You see what kind of responses he gets. And I'm curious as to what the principals who are named inside Hersh's story, what are they going to say? Is William Burns, the director of the CIA, is he going to deny this on the record? Is Victoria Nuland? Is Jake Sullivan? Is Antony Blinken? Those are the people who are named in the story. And accordingly, they're the ones who should be asked these questions.
Doing live stand-up comedy in Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Nashville, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, and Hartford, Connecticut. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets and become a premium member. Get access to all our content.